Hello, Spencer. My name is Summer, and I really enjoyed listening to your post. There were some things that I noticed. I actually live in Virginia, and my current profession is that I'm a sign language interpreter. So there were some things that I thought were really interesting about your post. When you were talking about giving phone numbers to clients, and then at the end you had asked about that. Um, from what I remember in the ACA Code of Ethics, and I went back and looked, it's in H2A. It does talk about how they need to have their contact information in their informed consent disclosure. And I remember seeing that when we were doing informed consent disclosures, that that counselors had their contact information within there of how the client could contact them, and just kind of keep that open line of communication that you were talking about. But I believe that it needs to be a more formal kind of contact. I know you were saying keeping it open. I think you can still keep it open if it's still like a specific email address that you're using just for that, but not necessarily your personal email. And also having an emergency number for after hours would help, I think, and having that information in your informed consent. As a sign language interpreter, what I wanted to say was, since I'm already kind of a professional in another field, I know I currently work for the Board of Education, and I work in the public school system. And a lot of people are surprised to find out that we are not allowed to give our phone numbers out to students or to their parents. Like if I have a student who is never at school when they're supposed to be at school, they're like, oh, just give them your phone number and then they can text you and let you know when they're not coming to school so that you're not sitting around all day waiting. No, we cannot do that because that is a slippery slope. And so I wasn't surprised when you were talking about what had happened in the case of the counselor that you had, because that's just such a slippery slope. When you start giving out your personal information to clients, you never know, how they're going to take that and where it's going to go from there. And then they might start pushing a little further and a little further and a little further, which I would imagine maybe what happened there. So yeah, that's typically a big no-no in the professionalism world. I would imagine that for counselors, it's probably not much different. The other thing I wanted to say was you had talked about license revocation, and I actually didn't find any cases of that in Virginia, but I only went back 3 years, so maybe that's why. But I thought it was interesting that I didn't see that and that you did have that. So that was really good information. I also did see a lot of suspensions as well. So I really enjoyed your post. I hope that was a little bit helpful. Like I said, it's a different field, but I feel like the rule probably still applies that you don't want to give your personal information out like that because it's a slippery slope. So I don't know. Um, it was good seeing your post, and have a good night.